It is nearly upon us, the great battle between the Dark Angels and the forces of chaos, all happening on the rock itself. And from reading some GW articles, it seems that the rock may actually fall. So let's jump in, let's discuss this, and let's get waffling. Now, just a little mini recap for those people who are not up to date with everything that has been going on in the lore. Abaddon has been launching the arcs. Angron exploded a planet in a fit of absolute madness of rage. Vashtor then went in and got a relic from the middle of that planet and then vanished away. And his next assault is upon the rock itself. Vashtor is hunting relics to put together this big weapon that he's got to give Abaddon, and with Abaddon's help, he's going to ascend then to be the fifth god of chaos. I don't know what you want to call that god, but it's probably not gonna happen. I think this thing's going to trick him up along the way, which we will discuss in this video. But the next section of that story now is happening on the rock, because as I mentioned, he's going in the rock to look for a certain relic. Now you're thinking, what relics could the Dark Angels have? And I'd probably say all of them, because the Dark Angels were entrusted by the Emperor himself to have some of the most scariest, most badass, most insane weapons that the Imperium ever came across. Stuff from the old night, like if I'm not mistaken, they had like men of iron chained to like controllers and stuff like that. There's literally just a bunch of stuff that the Dark Angels have in their arsenal that is just too scary to unleash upon the galaxy. So it makes sense for Vashtor to go into the rock and trying to recover one of these relics, one of these artifacts. Now, as I mentioned, this is the next big part of the story, is to trickle before the avalanche, because I really do think whatever Vashtor does on the rock is going to have a chain reaction that brings the Lion back into the current 40k set, in the current storyline of what's going on. The reason for that is, if you actually go to the GW website itself now, they put out like a preview article, and in that preview article, there's certain missions that you can play, like you start here, you do this, you do that, and you can get all the way to the end. Now, one of the last missions for the Forces of Chaos is called The Fall of the Rock, and it's got me thinking now, could we potentially see the Dark Angels losing so epically that the rock itself is taken over by the Forces of Chaos? Could they lose so much? This is the chain reaction that actually brings the Lion back to save his sons, to save his chapter, to save the Imperium. Now, I'm going to put the missions in the background somewhere up on the screen right now, because this is really, really interesting as well. Because if we read these in depth and go into it a little bit more, for example, the first one is called Scour the Darkness. The forces of Vashtor assault an Inquisition outpost in the hunt for the location of the rock. So I'm sure that's going to be weaved into the narrative that Vashtor and his forces overtake an Inquisition outpost. They, kill everyone inside, and because the Inquisition has been tracking the Dark Angels, I wonder why. Maybe they don't trust the Dark Angels. Maybe there's something more to that. They find the location of the rock, and this is where they launch their assault upon it. Because the next one is called War in the Warp, and it says a loyalist armada defending the rock comes under attack, facing overwhelming odds. Can they survive to fight another day? Now, I personally think it's not just going to be the Dark Angels defending the rock. I think the Sons of the Lion are going to come together, just like the Sons of Dawn sometimes come together, and they're going to be protecting the rock. Maybe Azrael sends out a call for aid, just like Dante did with the Devastation of Baal. How amazing would it be if we got a story where all the successor chapters, or the ones who could make it, come together and they start fighting around the rock? A massive, epic void battle, ship on ship, Dark Angels, Border Patrols, Deathwing Terminators, just the amount of epicness that could happen. Hopefully, really, really, I have my fingers crossed, we get an epic type of story or narrative involved in the Vashtor book. And of course, the last one, as we just mentioned, the Fall of the Rock. As Vashtor's demonic legions launch their assault against a fortress monastery, it's a desperate defenders mount a hasty defense. So this is where Vashtor goes into the rock and probably achieves or goes for his goal. Because let's face it, Vashtor is gonna go into the rock. We've seen some promotional pictures of Azrael fighting Vashtor on what seems to be like a rocky surface. Maybe that's actually inside of the rock. So I think from a story point, a narrative point, he is going to break through probably with some warp shenanigans, chaos shenanigans. And in there, he actually goes in, I'm thinking maybe the relic itself is actually on the lion. Like maybe it's a piece of the lion's armor. There's been some talk of, about Farsight and his little symbol he's got. I know people say me, no, Varak, it's the Moloch thing, but I'm convinced there's literally more to that. But what I really do think that's going to happen is that Vashtor is going to go into the rock. He's going to break the rock in some type of way, and the tomb or the resting place of Lionel Johnson is then going to be discovered by Azrael and the forces of the Dark Angels. And then I think it really leaves it open for that kind of cliffhanger ending of like, dun, 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 the lion's chamber's empty. Where is the lion? What's he doing? Is he dead? Was he ever even here in the first place? And it's going to be a massive talking point then for me, for you, for the Warhammer community itself, all talking about the lion, drumming up the hype for that final 5th book, which is rumored to be called The Lion. Again, for people who don't follow my rumor sources, the rumors that I was given is that the 4th book is called Farsight, which has been revealed to be called Farsight, and the 5th book is called The Lion, which of course is going to be the big boom thing of the lion coming back and everyone's going to lose their bloody mind. I also think maybe this is going to be kind of a humbling experience as well for like the Dark Angel chapter as a whole on the Sons of the Lion, because if Vashtor does meet his objective and take something from their inventory, which I personally think he will, because the conclusion is going to be towards the end of the series, not really like in where we are now in the middle. I think that it then puts emphasis on Azrael and the Sons to basically come together and start a true hunt for Vashtor to recover maybe their honor, maybe their relics, maybe everything a part of that, right? They have to find Vashtor. Maybe they can start linking up with certain different chapters. Maybe that's where the Blood Angels will come into it. And because we've heard rumors about, the Angels, the Death Codex, maybe the next stop on Vashtor's thing is somewhere across the Imperium Nihilus, and it's maybe something to do with Dante. The Blood Angels and Dante team up, and we start getting some absolute kick-ass scenarios and kick-ass stories all to do with those chapters. I think for me, this is us reaching the peak now. It's literally all downhill from here. This is going to be like the definitive moment of where the story is going to be shifting, going to go into. I cannot wait to get my hands on this book and read the lore. I know a lot of people haven't been getting these books because they're not really interested in the lore or anything like that, but for me, I've enjoyed every book so far. I think the Abaddon book started off a little bit slow, but the Angron book was fantastic, and if they go in the same direction that they went with Angron and that story and this story, I think we could be in for an absolute treat. Azrael, the Dark Angels, Vashtor, the potential of the lion not being on the rock, all the mad theories, all the mad stories that could come from this, I think we're in for an absolute whale of a time. Anyway, that is enough waffling from me as always. I wanted to make this video today because I don't know, I'm just so excited. I'm so bloody excited. I would love to get your thoughts, feedback, theories, everything like that. What do you think that is going to happen in the Vashtor book? Do you think the rock is going to be breached? Do you think the forces of Vashtor are going to be successful at taking certain items from the rock? Do you think the lion is going to be on the rock? Do you think they're going to find the lion sleeping and Azrael's going to kiss him and he's going to wake up? Let me know what you're thinking down below, and we can have a nice little chin waffle down there as we always do. See you now. Have a great day, and bye-bye. Bye.